Hi guys, this is your girl Wakeji Kamore and welcome to Reflections by Wakeji Kamore. We are currently going through the book of 1 Samuel. We're doing this chapter by chapter, so it will be nice for you to listen to the end because I will be sharing my key takeouts from the chapter that we will be reading today at the end of this recording. Also, remember to subscribe, to share this with someone else, and to click the notification bell so that you never miss any new recording. We're in the book of 1 Samuel. We're in chapter 14, and because this chapter is long, we have been covering it in parts. Today is part 2, which is the last part, and I'll be reading from verse 23 all the way to the end, and I'll be using the NLT version and then sharing my lessons in the end. So kindly follow through with the story. So yesterday we covered part 1 of chapter 14, where we saw Jonathan, who is Saul's son, taking a bold step of faith and, attacking the Philistines and actually experiencing victory from that. And from that came my favorite verse that says that God is able to save by few and even by many and even by few. So anyway, let's continue from verse 23. It says, "So the Lord saved Israel that day. And the battle continued to rage even beyond Beth Aven. Now the men of Israel were pressed to exhaustion that day. They were tired of fighting. Can you imagine? You guys have been fighting almost all night. So they were tired because Saul had placed them under oath, saying, 'Let a curse fall on anyone who eats before evening, before I have full revenge on my enemies.' So no one ate anything all day, even though they had all found honeycombs on the ground in the forest. They did not touch the honey because they all feared the oath that they had taken. Can you imagine taking an oath to not eat in the middle of a battle? Like, you need the energy, you need sugar, especially like the fact that even the Bible is very clear to say this is what they found on their way. Even as they were, fighting, they found honeycombs, and the sugar would have been just perfect. It would have been what they needed for the energy to fight. But Saul had made this not very wise declaration that anybody who eats will be put to death. But Jonathan had not had his father's command, and he dipped the end of his stick into a piece of honeycomb and ate the honey. After he had eaten it, he felt refreshed. Of course, he felt refreshed. But one of the men saw him and said, 'Your father made this army take a strict oath that anyone who eats food today will be cursed. This is why everyone is weary and faint.' 'My father has made trouble for us all,' Jonathan exclaimed. 'A command like that only hurts us. See how refreshed I am now that I've eaten this little bit of honey. If the men have been allowed to eat freely from the food they found among our enemies, think how many Philistines we would have killed.' So they chased and killed the Philistines all day, from Michmash to Aijalon, growing more and more faint." As in, seriously? That evening, they rushed for the battle plunder and butchered the sheep, the goats, the cattle, the calves, but they ate them without draining the blood. Someone reported to Saul, "Look, the men are sinning against the Lord by eating the meat that still has blood in it." "This is very wrong," Saul said. "Find a large stone and roll it over here. Then go out among the troops and tell them, 'Bring the cattle, sheep, goats here to me. Kill them here and drain the blood before you eat them. Do not sin against the Lord by eating meat that has blood still in it.' So that night, all the troops brought their animals and slaughtered them there. Then Saul built an altar to the Lord, and it was the first of the altars he built to the Lord. Then Saul said, Let's chase the Philistines all night and plunder them until sunrise. Let's destroy every last one of them." His men replied, "We'll do whatever you think is best." But the priest said, "Let's ask God first." So Saul asked God, "Should we go after Philistines? Will you help us defeat them?" But God made no reply that day. Then Saul said to the leaders, "Something is wrong. I want all my army commanders to come here. We must find out what sin was committed today. I vow by the name of the Lord who rescued Israel that the sinner will surely die, even if it is my own son Jonathan." This guy doesn't know. But no one would tell him what the trouble was. Then Saul said, Jonathan and I will stand over here, and all of you will stand over there. And the people responded to Saul, whatever you think is best. Then Saul prayed, O Lord God of Israel, please show us who is guilty and who is innocent. Then they cast sacred lots, and Jonathan and Saul were chosen as the guilty ones, and the people were declared innocent. Then Saul said, now cast lots again and choose between me and Jonathan. And Jonathan was shown to be the guilty one. Tell me what you have done, Saul demanded of Jonathan. I tasted a little honey, Jonathan admitted. It was only a little bit on the end of my stick. Does that deserve death? Yes, Jonathan, said Saul. You must die. May God strike me and even kill me if you do not die for this. But the people broke in and said to Saul, Jonathan has won this great victory for Israel. Should he die? Far from it. As surely as the Lord lives, not one hair on his head will be touched, for God helped him do a great deed today. So the people rescued Jonathan, and he was not put to death. Then Saul called back the army from chasing the Philistines, and the Philistines returned home. Now when Saul had secured his grasp on Israel's throne, he fought against his enemies in every direction, against the Moabs, against the Ammons, against Edom, the kings of Zobah, and Philistines. And whenever he returned, he was victorious. He performed great deeds and conquered the Amalekites, saving Israel for all those who had plundered them. Saul's sons included Jonathan, Ishbosheth, and Malchishua. He also had two daughters, Merab, who was older, and Micah. Saul's wife was Ahinoam, the daughter of Ahimaaz. The commander of Saul's army was Abner, the son of Saul's uncle Ner. Saul's father Kish and Abner's father Ner were both sons of Abiel. The Israelites fought constantly with the Philistines throughout Saul's lifetime. So whenever Saul observed a young man who was brave and strong, he drafted him into his army. And that is basically the end of chapter 14. Now. My question is, who tells people to fast when they need energy to fight? That was not a very wise declaration. Saul was hasty in his decree that the troops should abstain from eating until evening. As in, really? And Jonathan, who was unaware of Saul's declaration, ate wild honey in the forest. And after a brief investigation through sacred lots, Jonathan's violation of Saul's command was revealed. The penalty was death. Now, the interesting part is that Jonathan accepted the judgment without argument. He did not try to defend himself by saying that he was not aware of the command to fast, nor did he criticize Saul's decision. He just accepted the judgment. However, Israel did defend Jonathan because his reputation spoke for itself. Remember, this is the guy who had killed 20 men by just himself and his armor bearer. So his reputation spoke for itself, and he was the reason why they were experiencing victory on this specific day. And the people overwhelmingly supported him. Have you ever found yourself at odds with someone in a position of authority over you? It could be, as a result of a misunderstanding, a false accusation, or a disagreement over performance or standard, whatever the cause. Sometimes you may feel the need to defend yourself by criticizing your authority or the standard you failed to meet. However, God desires for us to respect our authority, even when we do not agree with that authority. In Romans chapter 3, verse 1-4, it says that every authority that is on earth has been instituted there by God, and we are to respect it. And whenever it is that we rebel against it, we're not just rebelling against that authority, that we are rebelling against God. So, as I finish this, ask yourself, is there a way that I and even you might currently be dishonoring authority? And how best can you resolve a rift at work or even a rift at home? My suggestion would be, talk about it calmly and privately. Because if you end each of your day with a clear conscience, you can entrust your reputation to the Lord. This is your girl Wakeji Kamore, and this has been Reflections by Wakeji Kamore. See you tomorrow.